Welcome to another session of Community Conversations for Technomatics. This is our virtual user group for plant simulation. I'm Taryn Blake, Community Engagement Program Manager for the Siemens software community, and I'm excited to kick off today's session. Whether it's your first time joining or you've been with us before, thank you for coming live. So today we are going to focus on the Optimize My Plant library. So our speaker will walk us through a live demo and wrap up with a Q&A. So let's introduce her. On the next slide, Ms. Suhila, will you give us the bio there?
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. It's Suhila here. I'm joining from Siemens Software in France. I work basically as a consultant for digital twin technologies, and I've been working for the past 2 years closely with customers to implement simulation and optimization solutions. You might recognize me if you attended this year's Plant Simulation Users Conference, where I presented Optimize My Plant, and through probably my humble contribution to the plant simulation community with knowledge articles with Optimize My Plant. I would like also to thank Stefan, who's not here, who's probably your usual host, for this opportunity to present. I had a lot of discussion with him on the different challenges that simulation specialists face today. And for that, that's why this session, I'll walk you through some of the challenges faced by the technical simulation experts and how Optimize My Plant library addresses some of these pain points to make kind of your life easier, building, maintaining these models. I'll walk you as well through a live demo to bring all this together. And as Taryn mentioned, we'll close up with some live Q&A. It's worth to mention that I'm joined also today here with Alex, who's also kind of the brain behind the library, and who is also here to answer any of the questions that we can have at the end. So, should I kick off?
Let me do a little more housekeeping before we jump all the way in. So I do want to remind everybody, we love to hear from you throughout the session. So there is a live chat on the right-hand side where you can drop your questions or comments at any time. But Suhila will do the presentation and then we'll do the Q&A afterwards at the end. So if you think of something, just drop it in the chat. We'll go through those at the end. And don't be shy with the team's reactions. We love to see a thumbs up or applause or hearts if anything's really interesting. And then also just a quick reminder, which is new for those of you who've been with us for a while, for compliance reasons, we won't be allowing personal note-taking apps, whatever they might be. The recording will be available on Friday in the community forums. So no need for note-taking. You'll be able to view everything with subtitles later in the week. So we'll have that summary and everything. But just to let you know, so we can go forward.
Yes, thanks, Taryn. So hello everyone to everyone who probably joined in between. So, okay, this is an example that probably you all recognize. So this video is coming straight off Plant Simulation, and this is a comprehensive plant simulation model. In this case, it's for a logistics center. I'm quite sure that many of you have built something similar for your different projects, whether is it for testing layouts, optimizing flows, validating your capacities. So I think if you're here today, you're well aware that plant simulation is a powerful tool when it comes to flow simulation, and it shines really with at the engineering phase with all the libraries that it provides and the custom logic to build all these kind of comprehensive digital twin models. Now, let's start by acknowledging some of the challenges that you might face as a technical simulation specialist when creating these digital twins. So the first challenge would actually be well, actually creating these accurate digital twins that truly reflect real-world operations. So as the complexity is increasing and you're managing probably large-scale simulation models with numerous parameters, which requires significant expertise and time. A second challenge would actually be calibrating these models. A simple rule in flow simulation is garbage in, garbage out. So in order to trust these simulation models, they need to actually reflect what's going on the shop floor. And you kind of need and as the complicated task for you to actually probably manually collect this data from the physical systems and update as you go through the project these simulation models. Another key challenge that's faced is well, beyond just building these models, you're also tasked with translating these technical insights into actionable business recommendations for non-technical stakeholders that so that they can use these predictive capabilities in their decision making. And as production complexity is increasing, we also need to kind of increase the scale of which these simulation models are used. So having this simulation for everyone and kind of growing the value of these simulation models to other key personas is very valuable for your organizations. Which leads me to what I'll be presenting today, because these challenges are precisely what Optimize My Plant library and solution are designed to address. What we're trying to do here is help you in the production engineering phase with creating the model and basically having the advanced dashboards and building KPI tools to configure your KPIs and to analyze your models. We also provide, so the second pain point, with calibrating these models and updating different machine availability, machine failure into your models, as well as scaling these models via a role-based application to be used in other areas, in whether it is on the shop floor or more for plant managers on more strategic approach. Now, as I mentioned, all the magic is done via the Alexa library. I probably share the screen inside the plant simulation. Okay. So what you see here, okay, do you see the right screen? Let me just check.
Yeah, we see plant simulation.
We see plant simulation?
Yes.
Good. So as I mentioned, all the magic is done by this magic library with the Alexa tool that connects the plant simulation model to the web application via Optimize My Plant, allowing you to easily structure your models. It also comes in with built-in KPI objects that saves you time. So it instantly configure OEE, worker OEE, as well as other tools. For example, if I take the drain statistic tool that allow you to configure the different drain KPIs with your models. And I will go to the demo later on. So this library also comes with methods, custom methods that you can use to load even more data into your models and configure correctly all the needed data for your models. And now, once that model has been configured with the library and connected to the web application that we'll demo later on, it will help you also it has built-in APIs for you that you can connect to the real shop floor data to keep your model current. So you can, whether data come in from different PLM systems, bill of processes, bill of equipment, data coming from ERP to inject the demand forecast, the production plans, as well as all the data that reflects like the actual, for example, MTTR that reflects the actual maintenance patterns, and all this data can help you make the data collection seamless within this the application, as well as offering built-in advanced comparison chart for you to also compare the real data coming from the real system and also the data the results that you had from the simulation. So basically, I would say it's a scalable manufacturing simulation architecture that can help you kind of have your models calibrated and help you contextualize and simplify your data collection. The third pain point and the third value is basically to democratize these digital twin experience. So not that you have created your model, that you have calibrated it, then you are using it for your projects. It is valuable to unlock its power to other key personas that probably today come to you for these questions, whether there are plant managers, operators, teams that comes with questions, sorry, that comes with questions, when should I schedule my maintenance? How do I adjust my worker shortage? All these questions can be answered by the digital twin model, but for the fact that plant simulation is a tool that's more of an engineering tool, the user experience is different. And now I'll go to the actual application that we can provide to these other personas for them to create scenarios and make informed decisions. This is Optimize My Plant, and as you see, behind every one of these projects is actually a plant simulation model that you build and configure with the application. If I open, for example, this project, I can walk you probably to the structure that is built in the application. An important part is the actual model configuration. So this is an SPP file with the model connected to the library. Also, we do have what also is a model explorer. So basically you control the structure of the model that you want to share with these end users, as well as you can also control the different parameters that you decide to expose for the end users to change when creating the scenarios. For example, here it's the buffer capacities and the sequence optimization algorithms. As I mentioned, since the KPI, there's built-in tools for the KPIs. There's also the libraries inside the application, a couple of configuration to do in order to have the charts. And then when we go to the master data, so basically we built an entire manufacturing domain model so that you could get all the data that you're feeding in the models, going from equipment parameters, the different shifts, different factory structures, your products, processes and operations, etc. And what the other key personas will see is actually this dashboard where they can easily now creating a scenario and testing and simulating is just a button away. So I have already created a scenario and validated a production plan. So basically just you can run these they can run these scenarios and have this dashboard with all these features, KPI that you configure and that you decide to show. You can also play around with your different factory structures and kind of visually have the most important KPIs showed in this structure. And then we also the real value is the different advanced KPIs that you chart and dashboards that you can see all the KPIs that you configured, and we offer like different types of charts going from time series, donut charts, as well as utilization charts. So here you can have detailed utilization chart for your different equipments and also the worker utilization. And thus you can also analyze the different results. So here, for example, I can easily see that my worker is overloaded. So it's as simple as copying this scenario and going to the Teams and Shift tab and increasing the number of my of the worker, and I can re-simulate the scenario. So what's happening here behind the scene, is plant simulation running on the background on the cloud, and as I change the number of workers, you can obviously change different maintenance calendars if a machine is out, and basically change also the if you remember the scenario parameters, the simulation parameters that you decided to show to your end users. Sorry, here it's night in France, so and I'm not moving. Okay, so this is the scenario I played again, and we can probably go to the dashboard. As I mentioned, there is also advanced comparison capabilities for you to compare the different results within your different scenarios that you create. And also it doesn't stop there. If you see here, we also, instead of also playing what if scenarios, you can also use the optimization tools. Here, I can show you also, we integrate with the experiment manager. So here, as I mentioned, instead of, let me just go to the experiment parameters. So instead of playing what if scenarios, you can actually leverage the experiment manager and design an experiment to have the best configuration possible for example, in this case, the worker quantity. Another scenario that I wanted to show is also in the optimization phase related to leveraging the genetic algorithm. So another use case here would be that I have here a scenario that is showing kind of the different KPIs for a scenario where a sequence is being simulated. What I wanted to do is to copy my scenario and go to my scenario parameters and actually enable the sequence optimizer on the background. So basically, it will optimize the sequence with the genetic algorithm, trying to minimize the setup time for me to, okay, maybe I can also easily change the name, and then simulating is as easy as just hitting the simulate button. Okay. So with this library, you can also integrate all kind of your different optimization methods and make them easily enabled by the end users. So here it's more the experience for a persona like a shop floor leader who wants to optimize a given sequence for a production for the next 2 weeks, and instead of coming with a question, they have a role-based application that is pretty intuitive to use and to make informed decisions on a daily basis. And again, as I mentioned, I really like this comparison capability because it kind of also helps you with analyzing different so we can even show the utilization charts between the different stations. You can even go down with to the level that you want with each machine. And if I go probably to my table, I can see that I managed to increase my total throughput by optimizing the setup for the setup time using the genetic algorithm. So yeah, just to sum up, this is kind of what the application looks like. And maybe if I move back into presenting. So this is what the library kind of enables you to do, and to other personas that you probably work with from the shop floor. We also highlight the fact that, I mean, since you use a lot of, you're probably working on plant simulation projects and kind of reaching the extra efficiencies by scaling these simulation models to optimize resources, to improve on-time delivery, to control energy usage, and also to calibrate these simulation models on to have the confidence in these digital twins. And probably to sum up, using this library, you can faster create these models. We got from our own factories that are using this library that they drastically kind of saved time to with these pre-built tools to build these models, so they can focus more on other challenges. And with the built-in KPI objects, you can easily create all these statistics and have and turn this raw data into real charts and KPIs that are pre-configured for you. And then the real value as well is updating these simulation models with the real data coming from the shop floor, and as well as empowering your different teams to, you know, have this digital tool to make informed decisions and basically also multiply your work impact on these simulation models that you built. I think we're going to have a lot of questions, so we'll leave a lot of time for questions. But before we go, I'm not sure if Stefan, probably you're going to hate me for what we're going to do next, but I don't know if Stefan does the teacher after the tutorials of giving you guys a homework. So we can provide you with this library and access to the application, and you can take any of your plant simulation models and turn it into an application within hours. So with the library and with the access to the application, you can even you know, try your I mean, if what I presented kind of piqued your curiosity and how this is done further. And I think with Taryn as well, we're discussing about having another session to go even in details in connecting the model with plant simulation. So this session was to introduce you to the library. So with that, maybe back to you, Taryn. Will you, or should I just launch the Q&A?
Yeah, I think that's good. We can go into questions.
Okay.
So Vladimir was asking, I don't know if you see it yet, is there an option to see the current look of the current model state, like a screenshot or interactive 3D?
No, this is something that we're currently not having. So this is focus on providing the charts as the results or an HTML report as results. You can have a factory dashboard and kind of in a screenshot to display some KPIs. That is possible. We currently don't have an interactive 3D viewer. What you can do though is you can download the configured model and basically download the plant simulation model, exactly how it was configured in a scenario, and then analyze it in your local runtime plant simulation license, for example. That is something that is definitely possible.
Yeah, do you all see the next one from Amir? He's thanking you for the presentation, was asking if it's possible to connect a customized fitness function of the GA Optimizer as a KPI to optimize my plant.
Yeah, I think that should be possible. So we support all plant simulation is a very powerful tool that allows you to use all kind of advanced functionality. We want to fully utilize that. So that should be possible with Optimize My Plant as well, and then just pick on the results. So yeah, if it's possible with PlantSim, I'm sure you can connect it with Optimize My Plant as well.
Another question about, does the library work only with the latest version of plant simulation? Yes, I think we're supporting 2504 and also the
2404.
2404, yeah.
And it actually also works still with 2302, but okay. We're supporting latest 2 versions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, then there was a question from Maurizio on how to customize dashboards. So the KPIs on Optimize My Plant, you can customize them, and for each KPI that you kind of expose from plant simulation, you can configure what kind of chart you would like your users to see. And then users can, in addition to that, apply more filters or change the style. So that is possible as well. Related to Mendix connectors, Optimize My Plant comes in 2 flavors. The one that you've seen and that Suhila has demonstrated is our SaaS version that is deployed in the Siemens Xcelerator Cloud. That also has APIs, so you can feed data in and out and export data easily and use APIs to get data in and out. But you can't change the user interface or enhance it with Mendix functionality. But we have a second version, the Mendix Adaptive Edition, that customers can deploy themselves anyway how Mendix app can be deployed. And that can also take advantage of Mendix connectors from the Mendix marketplace, like a Teamcenter connector or Insight Hub connector or Ops Center or ERP or database connectors. So that's also something that is possible to extend Optimize My Plant.
I will probably answer the question about how to add the library and where to find more tutorials today. So as I mentioned, there's a lot of content in the community on the different configuration, but to get access to the library, Taryn will share the email so that we can provide you access to the application, and the library is within the application so that you can build your models. And also within the application, we have built-in trainings and tutorial for connecting a plant simulation model with the library to Optimize My Plant. So if you're interested, you just email me and I'll be happy to provide you access to the library and the application. Maybe Alex, you can answer the question about it being an on-prem module. I don't think that's
Yeah, so basically plant simulation is on-prem software. So on PlantSim, you can use the Plant Simulation X, but also the hybrid SaaS or just the node-log floating licenses of Plant Simulation. And then and that's basically what you use to prepare the model and add the library and kind of expose what you would like to, which KPIs you would like to send to Optimize My Plant. And then you would upload this model in the Optimize My Plant user interface. And there it depends whether you choose the cloud version or the on-premise deployment, and upload it to Optimize My Plant. And then you can take it from there and do the rest in the Optimize My Plant user interface. But yeah, on PlantSim itself can be is on-prem. I can also take the next one. The Alexa library knows after importing the model what objects are in the current model and how it scales the model. So the way how this works, the Alexa library actually provides a way to explore the object and kind of iterate through everything in the PlantSim model and make that available in Optimize My Plant. So if you have changes to your PlantSim model, you would just upload the modified PlantSim model, run this model explorer again, and then Optimize My Plant will be updated with the latest number of objects, like, I don't know, adding more workplaces, for example.
Okay, it seems like people are thinking. While that's the case, we still have plenty of time for questions. I do want to show the forums again. So if it's your first time coming to one of these sessions, again, the URLs are clickable here for the Plant Simulation Virtual User Group. It'll take you to the forums that are shown in the animation. And we just recommend that you follow this topic. And so the animation is showing clicking the follow button and then also clicking the small envelope icon to choose to receive every post. The only thing posted in that URL and that part of the forums are registration opportunities, right? So when we have a new session, we put up the registration link and also recordings. So all of the recordings from previous sessions from our community catalysts are there. This session will also be there on Friday. And then the next two topics are here on the left side of the screen. Stefan will be back with integration of plant simulation into websites using PHP. He's got another one in October on how to model a 2-arm robot. So those are very specific building sessions. We'll have those. And then also, when Suhaila has her next session, we would post it in the same place with the invites, in addition potentially to emails. So definitely take a moment to look at that. My other announcement, this is what I do, is just also that there's some Siemens Accelerator Academy. If you've not heard of it, this is our official, like, comprehensive learning website with courses that offer both on-demand training and then live training. So again, those links are clickable. If you're interested, you can even click on the X there. It will take you to kind of the overarching page for it. But if you click the Technomatics Plant Sim link, it's going to take you directly to plant simulation topics there, as well as a couple of additional resources, learning overview, plant simulation associate certificate, all the things that you might need depending on where you work and how you work. But ultimately, in these last few minutes, we've got our experts here. You should ask them more questions. And if you haven't emailed Suhaila yet, you absolutely should.
I'm receiving. I received an email, so that's good.
Okay, love it. We've got some folks paying good attention there. So you can definitely click through to get there. Or you'll have to hold your questions and put them in the forums. So
we have another question.
Yeah, it looks like Blake dropped one in the chat. He's expanding on Rahat's question. How does the Optimize My Plant application notify the shop floor users that an updated model has been uploaded? Is there a status lifecycle?
But the idea is that the PlantSim model is always kind of kept up to date. And actually, shop floor users also have a way in Optimize My Plant to maintain things that usually change, like shift models, breaks, team availability, team sizes, downtimes, planned work downtimes for equipment. So this can be updated in Optimize My Plant. So Shopfloor users actually can themselves contribute to keep the data that is fed into plant simulation, to keep that updated. If the model has changed, we currently do not have a notification mechanism. That might be an interesting enhancement for the future, but yeah, currently it's not there. What you can do though is you can group your projects into organizations. So you can, for example, have kind of a folder for every plant or for every section in the plant, so that people can only see models that are relevant for them and can easily spot if one has been added or removed.
And it looks like there was one more where Bharath was asking a follow-up.
There's one on results.
Yes.
So yeah, initially, if you configure the PlantSim model and add the PlantSim library, you need to make, as the simulation expert, you need to make the decision which KPIs you would like to expose. That is very easy using the objects that Suhila has demonstrated to configure things like drain statistics or buffer statistics. But anything else that you can create as a chart in or a visualization in plant simulation, you can also add to the statistics that is exported to Optimize My Plant. So you can configure it there, and then display or configure what kind of chart is then presented to the users. And specifically the utilization charts for OEE and worker OEE, those are pretty much automatic. So as soon as you configure the equipment and say you would allow and a worker configuration and Optimize My Plant, you can simply say that you're interested in OEE and worker OEE, and that gets you the charts for utilization automatically. So that's even less work.
Yeah, we have another question.
Yep. Kind of Optimize My Plant is kind of intended to extend the audience from the plant simulation specialists to Shopfloor users or managers, so that they can run what-if scenarios or experiment configurations themselves and kind of feed updated data like, let me simulate next week's production schedule, or let me see what happens if next week a team member is not there or this machine needs maintenance. What's the best strategy to deal with that? And enable people on the shop floor to create two alternatives and figure out which one is the best to go with.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We extract asset-wise schedule for week, month if we run it for that period. You mean importing a schedule from AssetWise or exporting one as the result from the simulation into AssetWise? But in the end, both is possible. So if you say I have from an APS system, I have a schedule that I would like to validate and feed through Optimize My Plant and see if it really is good, or maybe you find using GA, genetic algorithm, you find an optimization, you can definitely do that. And the optimized schedule you can export again out of Optimize My Plant to, for example, feed it in your scheduling system. So yeah, everything in Optimize My Plant is possible to enter interactively, export, import via Excel like CSV, or via an API to automate that and connect it to Shopfloor systems.
Okay, we have a hand raised. Let me get you off of mute.
So my question was like, let me elaborate that. So if suppose I want to see the like task planned on each assets, if I run simulation for a week, will I be able to extract the data that like on this day I have to do these many tasks, like suppose 10 parts on this this day at this time, this part will come and this part will be processed. So up to that level, we will be able to extract directly, or how it is?
Yeah, you can get schedules out of the simulation again. So basically get the as simulated result exported as a schedule from Optimize My Plant. Does OMP allow changing sequence of the work orders manually? Yes, so basically production schedule is, or production mix is one of the inputs that you can feed into a scenario. And you can influence, like you can use a priority and use that to reorder the sequence or force plant simulation to consider a different sequence. So you can play around with that as well and then see what's the impact, which one is better, and kind of do a manual rescheduling. That's also possible.
It looks like Blake added a question.
Oh, we have a good question.
Transitioning, how would you pitch Optimize My Plant being better suited than providing interested stakeholders with a highly customized pack and go model? Assume the pack and go has a number of parameters to simulate.
I mean, you can certainly do that, but to build a user interface in plant simulation, that's typically something like dialogues. That's something that requires more work and is more suitable to modify a few things, maybe have a slider and change some parameters. But it is not really suitable to have something more complex that you would need on the shop floor with shift models and breaks and maintenance and downtime and maybe process and durations that need to be maintained, or feeding in a product mix or a production schedule for next week. Another real benefit of Optimize My Plant is that it has a data model that does a consistency check of the data that you import. That is something that you can, of course, implement in a plant simulation as well, and make sure that you're checking everything that the user can enter or feed in as an Excel file. But it's a hell lot of work. With the data model of Optimize My Plant, it will, for example, it will not be possible to create a work order for a product that doesn't exist, or to schedule a task for a machine that doesn't exist. You can only pick, and the user interface will only allow you to select machines or processes or products that actually exist. And that's, I think, that's what many customers tell us. It's actually the huge benefit that it allows to do this consistency checking of the data that goes into Optimize My Plant, and tells them if something is inconsistent or wrong. Yeah, Optimize My Plant has a specific license. It depends whether you want the cloud version or the on-premise deployment. The cloud version has 2 licenses, one that allows the simulation, that the simulation expert and most users that will run scenarios will need. And there's also a consumer license that allows, for example, managers to see the charts and do an additional analysis, but they will not be able to run additional simulations. That's then more like a viewer license. The adaptive, keep in mind that this requires, so this is for the on-premise deployment. Keep in mind that this will also require Mendix and the PlantSim runtime license to kind of act as a PlantSim backend server. So the license is just the Optimize My Plant piece. The Mendix piece is separate.
No, there was a question. Okay, yeah, you say about the partnership license.
You probably mean the distributor bundles or partner bundles. Currently, Optimize My Plant is not included there, but we can easily provide a trial, for example.
That's good. You guys got to thank you back. There's only 5 minutes left, so I put the homework assignment back up in case anyone missed it, to add the library, upload, and configure some KPIs and parameters. So last 5 minutes for questions. We've had some good ones. So
yeah, really compliments to all of you. Great questions.
Yes.
Really appreciate that.
Okay, so thanks everyone for the questions. And again, we'll do another session with the homework. Thanks for all the interesting questions. And as I mentioned, just don't hesitate to email me with any of the questions or the access to the library requests. And see you guys soon, hopefully. Yeah. Thanks, Darren. Thanks, Alex.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, thanks all.
Bye.
Have a good day. Bye.